I would like to call the meeting of the Legislation and Budget Committee to order, and I will ask Natalie to call the roll.
Reese Isbell,
Here.
Megan Ellis,
Present.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Present.
Callie Mae Pham.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Thank you. Item number 2 is the approval of our last committee meeting minutes. Do I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes?
I'll motion. Second.
All right, I'll open it up to public comment on the minutes. Seeing none, Natalie, please call the roll for the vote.
Reese Isbell,
Yes.
Megan Ellis,
Yes.
Colette Kavanaugh,
Yes.
Callie Mae Pham.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you so much. For an update on pending legislation, I will turn it over to Christy.
All right, here we go. So as we are coming to the end of our session, we've listed the legislative calendar and deadlines on your packet information, and I'll go ahead and go through each of our bills. AB 1328, which was the cosmetology compact licensure, that's a 2-year bill, so no action on that. SB 384, which is our bill by Senator Bradford's office, which is for our remedial education. Sorry, making sure I'm on the right page here. That bill is expected to be heard on the floor probably today. We had hoped it was be read on Friday, but they didn't make it. We anticipate this to move right out and go to the governor's office. So we're actually preparing already to be ready to go on implementation for that. Excuse me. And then our remaining bills, SB 247, which is the alcohol and beverage bill, which doesn't impact our board, impacts our licensees, but it changes that wording to make it an establishment, not just a beauty salon or barber shop. That bill has been enrolled. It is to the governor's office. SB 451, which is the worker classification bill for manicurists, that is a 2-year bill, so no activity on that. SB 544 is our Open Meeting Act. That bill was just amended on Friday. It was amended to basically allow at a certain level telecommuting meetings. Committees will be able to hold a telecommute. We will still have a public spot. So say if we wanted to have this meeting, you could all be virtual. We would just have the open meeting at our office so that there's a place for the public to come in. So it's going to allow that. It still allows teleconferencing as it did before, which required everybody we had to post people's addresses. So if you wanted to call in from home, we wouldn't want you to do that because you would have to post that. So it does allow that for the committee meetings. For board meetings, it allows if a majority of people are in a public spot. So we would still, for instance, if we have a meeting in Northern California, maybe our Southern California people would be able to call in. We have more in Northern than we do in Southern. So gives us definitely some better options, especially for committee meetings. That bill, again, was just amended on Friday. We expect it to go to the governor's office. However, they also put this language in a trailer bill. And Sabina, it's pretty much the exact same language, right?
Similar, yes.
Similar.
And as soon as that is signed, it would go into effect, and then the other one would take into effect on January 1st. Right. It's kind of like closing the gap.
So hopefully we anticipate having some success either way on being able to at least hold our committee meetings virtually.
That's very good to hear. I had heard there was some lobbyist opposition in the past, so I appreciate that.
There's been a lot of discussion on it.
And I mean lobbyists generally. So it still needs to pass the assembly, correct?
It does.
Okay.
Or it might have actually passed on Friday with amendments.
Did it pass the assembly? Or
In the assembly.
it's in the assembly?
It was amended on the assembly floor.
Oh, okay. So then does it need to go back to the Senate for concurrence on the changes?
I don't know.
This is ordered to a third reading on the 8th.
Right, ordered to third reading, so,
Back? So yes. For concurrence.
yeah. So, yes, so it will go back, and then hopefully go to the governor.
Right.
Okay, good. I appreciate that. I appreciate the support that our team has given this. I think it will be healthy
Yes.
for more interaction from everyday citizens and not just those who can get to Sacramento. Okay, so any other comments from board members on that? Okay.
And one more bill, SB 817, that bill, it looks like it's going to be a 2-year bill, so we're still waiting to see. We have reached out to the author's office, I haven't heard back yet, but it's a 2-year bill. That was clarifying our fee for the hairstylist license. So we'll continue to watch that as it goes through the next year process. And that's it on our legislative update.
Okay, great, thank you. We'll open this up to public comment on this item of the agenda. Seeing no public comment, we will move on to the next item. We don't have to take a vote on that, right? So, Jess, our next item is discussion of our fee study. Christy?
All right, so as you all know, we've been working on a fee study for quite some time now. It's definitely been delayed to some staffing issues that we've had in our office. And so this basically, as a result of SB 803, which eliminated our practical exam, that elimination of that exam eliminated 2 examination sites, lots of staff that were there to administer that exam. So what we have been doing is timing all of our processes. You take the time, how long it takes, every step that it takes from opening the mail or downloading an application online to cashiering process, to it coming into our office. Every step we had to add a time to, and then we look at the salaries that each of those staff that perform those functions. And then, so we basically broke all that down, and what we've come up with, and we're not prepared to make a formal recommendation to the committee yet. We hopefully will be at the next committee meeting. And that is because we haven't fully reviewed this with our budget office at Consumer Affairs, who know a lot more details about fee studies than we do, but we have I've given you an update. The backup data to this is extensive that they will need to go through to make sure we're going to set our fees appropriately and not, negatively impact our budget. But what we found was interesting in looking at the initial examination application. So basically, we looked at the administration of the examination. So that's our computer-based testing. So everybody that takes an exam with us, we have a department-wide contract for the administration of the examination via PSI, who has all the examination sites throughout California where somebody goes in and takes that test on a computer. And then the next line is the examination, which is the actual costs that we pay for the development, the continued occupational analysis, all the work that goes into developing and creating the actual exam. And then we have our staff costs, and then you have our total. So what we found is that an initial examination fee should be $103 based on our costs. Well, we only charge $75 right now, so that would increase $28. Well, we don't want to increase our fees. We don't need to increase our fees. We have plenty of money. So that's why we have to go back with the budget office and really look at, yes, technically we might not be charging the exact costs that it takes, but we're obviously getting funds from other locations into our budget that's making our budget healthy, because we have a healthy budget. So with a healthy budget, there's no way we're going to increase our fees. We would not be supported in increasing our fees, even though I can prove that the actual cost to the board is a little bit higher than what it is. But the re-exam fees did go down. So that went down by a reduction of $15. So right now it's $75, and our report showed that it costs $60 for all of our processing and our fees for the re-exam. So what we need to do is sit down with our budget expert and make sure that that becomes a wash. You know, we've got an increase of 28, a decrease of 15. We have to figure all that out in the prolonged budget, our prolonged budget, to make sure where we're going to fall budget-wise in the future. But we've gotten very close to coming up with at least this much data. And hopefully by our next meeting, we'll have had that meeting with budgets. I can tell you it's one person for all of the Department of Consumer Affairs that works on this for us. So he's, you know, we have to understand his workload as well. Hopefully we'll get that done, and we'll have, at our next committee meeting, we'll have a recommendation with regulatory language, because this will be a reg change. We'll have to, changing any of our fees is regulation change. So hopefully we will have that at our next meeting.
Any thoughts or comments from folks?
Yes, I have a question. Thank you, Christy, and for everyone for this. I know this is like such a concise summation that represents a lot of work that went into it, so I appreciate it. A question about the exam development. So is it like an ongoing monthly cost that we're paying to a service, or I'm just wondering what kind of work are they doing towards exam development versus what it was probably initially when the exam was first created?
So it's basically we pay two fees ourselves. The board pays one for the exam administration, and then every applicant pays we are charged for every applicant to take that developed exam.
Oh.
And what all that money goes to is the continual review of the exam. So like, for instance, right now, we just met with the examination company last week, and right now they're updating the barber exam. So it's a continual process that the exam developers do. And so that's why it's per licensee that we pay for that fee.
Okay, thank you. And then are these the only fees that we're looking at changing or that we're studying? I know that separate from this, we're also looking at the fines as well, and then these two fees. Are there any other fees that we're looking at, or no?
It would just be these. We're just looking at the re-exam fee. That's what we're required to do,
Okay.
but it's for all 5 of our license types.
Okay.
We are looking at the fines, but separately
Separate.
from this, not as part of a fee study.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? All right, we'll open this up to public comment on this item. And seeing none, we can move on to the next agenda item, which is public comment on items that are not on the agenda. And seeing none, we will move on to item 6, suggestions for future agenda items. Do any committee members have any future agenda items? Okay, we'll open that up to public comment. And seeing none, I think we can move on to the next item, which is adjournment. All right, thank you.
Thank you.